Welcome back, everyone. Today we're going deep, really deep into the world of Tai Chi, specifically a sequence known as Grass Bird's Tail.
It's a fascinating one.
And it's considered pretty fundamental, right? I mean, I see
Yeah.
it pop up in so many different Tai Chi styles.
Oh, absolutely. It's like, a cornerstone. You find it in the Yang 24 form for sure. But even in the longer, more intricate 108 form, grass bird's tail is right there.
So you're saying no matter which branch of Tai Chi you're exploring,
This sequence is key.
key to understanding like the deeper mechanics.
You could say that. Yeah, mastering grass bird's tail, it kind of unlocks a lot of other Tai Chi techniques, makes them easier to grasp.
I like that. Unlocking Tai Chi one bird's tail at a time.
Exactly. But, even before we get into the how-to, that name itself, grass bird's tail, it's pretty evocative, isn't it?
It is very poetic. What's the story there?
Well, think about it. In Tai Chi, it's all about sensing and controlling your opponent's energy, not by force, but more
Yeah.
like, subtle redirection.
So the idea is you're guiding their movement.
Yeah. Gently, like if you were to, I don't know, carefully redirect a bird's tail without, hurting the bird.
I get it. It's about sensitivity.
Exactly.
Speaking of sensitivity, when I was first learning this sequence, the thing I really struggled with was the role of the waist. It wasn't until I started focusing on that rotation from my core that things really clicked.
The waist is absolutely crucial. It's like the engine of the movement,
I'll have to get into that.
for sure. But before we dive into the body mechanics, I think it'd be helpful to break down those 4 core movements that make up grass bird's tail.
Sounds like a plan. What are we looking at?
All right, so we start with Peng. It's often translated as ward off. Imagine holding a big beach ball in front of you. You inhale, and as you do, you kind of expand your arms and chest.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
You feel that expansive energy rising. That's Peng. It's about meeting force, but with this yielding quality, like a spring.
So not blocking, but more like redirecting. Kind of go with the flow, but in a martial arts way.
You got it. And then we move into Lu, which means roll back.
Okay, so Peng is creating space.
Yep, and Lu is about yielding, absorbing energy, kind of like, how a wave redirects the force coming at it.
Ah, I see. Interesting how each movement flows into the next. What comes after Lu?
Next is Ji, meaning press. This one, you can think of it as more of a compressed energy, a penetrating force.
Ah, so this is where the counter comes in. The return of that energy, but with focus.
You got it. And finally, we have An. Push is the usual translation. It's all about sinking, grounding that energy.
So like using your root to kind of disrupt your opponent's balance.
Exactly.
Okay, you mentioned the waist earlier. You said it's key to all of this. Can you elaborate a bit? What's happening beneath the surface of these movements?
Well, the real power, it all originates from the back leg. Think of it as like the root system of a tree. It provides that stability, generates the energy for everything else.
So the back leg is like the foundation.
Perfect analogy. And then you've got the waist, which acts as the engine, transmitting that energy from the rooted leg up to your arms, your hands.
So if the back leg is the foundation, the waist is the engine. What are the hands?
The hands, they're the expression of all that inner work.
Yeah.
They become the point of contact, Or in solo practice, they embody that energy flow.
You were talking about the back leg being crucial for power. Can you give me an example of how that translates to, like, an actual self-defense situation?
Sure, imagine someone's trying to push you. Instead of meeting that force head-on with your arms, you sink into your back leg, rotate your waist. It creates this kind of spiraling energy, like a revolving door almost.
So it's about coordinating different body parts to work together.
Precisely. And it's not just about the individual movements, but those transitions between them. It all has to be seamless, smooth, like a dance.
So mastering those coordinated movements in Grass Bird's Tail, that lays the groundwork for doing all Tai Chi techniques more gracefully.
You could say that. It's like learning your scales before you can play a beautiful melody on the piano. And the beauty of Grass Bird's Tail is that it's not just physical. It embodies deeper principles that go way beyond martial arts.
That's what I love about these deep dives. You start with a specific Tai Chi sequence, and suddenly you're uncovering these universal principles that can apply to, like, all aspects of life.
Exactly. And that's what we're going to explore next, how Grass Bird's Tail embodies this harmony between mind, body, and energy.
Sounds fascinating. I'm ready when you are.
So we've been talking about the physical side of Grass Bird's Tail, the movements, the energy flow, but You know, Tai Chi is about so much more than just the external form.
Right, there's this whole internal dimension that goes way beyond just physical strength or speed.
It's about cultivating a harmony, between your mind, your body, and your energy.
Mm.
And grasp bird's tail really embodies that.
So it's not just about like memorizing the steps.
No, no, it's about cultivating this awareness of your internal state, your breath, your posture, how the energy is flowing within you.
Like a moving meditation almost, turning inwards as you practice.
You could say that.
Yeah.
And a big part of that internal aspect is cultivating qi, that life force energy.
Ah, chi. I always hear that term associated with Tai Chi. I've got to be honest, it's always seemed kind of mysterious to me.
Yeah, it gets misunderstood a lot. People think it's some kind of mystical force. But in Tai Chi, qi is actually a very tangible experience. It's the energy that flows through your body, animates your movements, connects your mind and body.
So it's not just an idea.
No,
Of-
it's a real energy. You can feel it, like a tingling sensation, warmth, a feeling of aliveness in your body. And grasp bird's tail. It helps you cultivate and refine that energy.
Okay, I'm intrigued. How does practicing this sequence actually cultivate ki?
It's about bringing your attention to it. As you move through the sequence, you're focusing on your breath, your posture, that smooth flow of movement. And that actually harmonizes the flow of qi throughout your body. It's kind of like, untangling knots in a garden hose.
The more you practice, the smoother the flow becomes.
Exactly. And that flow becomes more powerful too. So grasp bird's tail is kind of like a training ground for working with this vital energy.
And it's already inside us.
Right. And it also, this sequence, it beautifully illustrates another core principle of Tai Chi, the interplay of yin and yang.
Yin and yang, the classic symbol of duality and balance. I get how that relates to the movements being so fluid, but how does it specifically play out in grasp bird's tail?
Well, think about the movements themselves. Peng, that expanding upward energy, that's yang. Then you have Lubi, embracing that yielding downward energy, that's yin. The whole sequence is this constant dance between those two forces, yielding and pressing, expanding and contracting, rooting and rising.
It's like they're having a conversation.
That's a great way to put it. And, we were talking earlier about how grasp bird's tail helps you understand Tai Chi on a deeper level. But these principles, they go beyond just martial arts, right?
They do, yeah. That's one of the things I find so fascinating is like these ancient concepts can be applied to modern life.
Absolutely. Cultivating internal balance and harmony, that can help you manage stress. It can help you focus better, make better decisions. Understanding how to work with opposing forces, that can transform how you approach relationships, creative projects, even challenges in your career.
So grasp bird's tail is almost like this miniature model of those bigger life principles.
It is. It's not just about defending yourself. It's about cultivating a more balanced, harmonious way of being in the world.
It's interesting, some people I've talked to, they say concepts like yin and yang are too abstract to really be useful. How would you respond to that?
Well, I can see how yin and yang might seem kind of esoteric at first. But think about it. How often do we get stuck in our own heads, pushing against problems instead of adapting? Grasp bird's tail, with its emphasis on yielding, redirecting, finding balance. It offers a very practical way to approach those situations. It teaches you to be more flexible, to see challenges as opportunities for growth.
Instead of getting into a tug of war, you learn to, move with the current, redirect energy instead of fighting it.
Exactly. And finding that sweet spot between effort and ease, that's a valuable skill no matter what you're doing.
We've covered a lot of ground here. From the nitty-gritty of the movements to these broader principles, grasp bird's tail is like this gateway to understanding so much more.
It really is. It's a journey of self-discovery, one that can lead to greater balance, well-being, even a deeper understanding of who you are.
That's pretty powerful. It makes me think about, like, the tangible benefits someone might experience from understanding grasp bird's tail, even if they never actually practice Tai Chi. What would you say those are?
That's a great question, and it's a perfect segue into our next section. Let's dive into those benefits right after this short break.
So we've been exploring the movements, the energy, those core principles behind grasp bird's tail. But what I'm always curious about is, how do those abstract ideas, how do they translate into like real world benefits?
That's a great question. And, one of the most immediate benefits that people often report is stress reduction. The slow flowing movements of Tai Chi that focus on the breath, the internal awareness, it really has this calming effect on the nervous system.
So it's like a moving meditation, helping you to, just kind of let go of tension.
You could say that.
Yeah.
And as you practice grasp bird's tail, you become more attuned to your body's alignment, and that can lead to improved posture and balance.
Which is huge, especially as we get older, right?
Right.
Helps prevent falls, maintain mobility.
Exactly. It's not just about feeling good in the moment. It's about, that long-term health and well-being.
Right. Building that foundation. And it's not just the physical stuff either, is it? I mean, we've been talking about mindfulness, energy flow, balance. Those
Yeah.
principles have got to have some impact on your mental and emotional state as well, don't they?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, think about it. Cultivating that sense of inner balance, it can lead to greater resilience, better emotional regulation in your daily life.
For sure. Instead of getting swept up in every little thing, it's like you have this internal compass.
Exactly.
Hmm.
It's like having that center, that grounded approach to navigate all the ups and downs life throws at you. And if you remember our talk about yin and yang, that principle can help you approach challenges with more, flexibility, adaptability.
So instead of resisting change or, pushing against obstacles, it's more about working with them, finding a way to redirect that energy.
Precisely. It's about finding that balance between effort and ease, between taking action and accepting what is. And that's a valuable skill no matter what you're dealing with.
Whether it's a tough conversation, a creative block, even just the everyday stress of life, it's amazing how much insight, how much benefit you can get from, just one Tai Chi sequence.
Right. It highlights how interconnected everything really is. The physical, the mental, the emotional. It's not just about moving your body. It's about moving through life in a more mindful way.
With more grace. And it's funny because we started with grass bird's tail, and now we're talking about resilience and adaptability, the interconnectedness of our being. It's a good reminder that even the most specific practice can hold these universal truths.
And that's the beauty of these deep dives, isn't it? You start with one thing and it kind of opens up a whole world of understanding.
For sure. Well, I think it's time to wrap up this exploration of grass bird's tail.
I agree.
We hope you've enjoyed this deep dive with us and that you'll, continue to explore Tai Chi or maybe just these principles on your own. We'll see you next time.